You know, I had a lot of doubts doing this review. I've thought about it. I clearly, God, you know, I want to make one thing really clear here, people. Okay, and try and bear with me on this. Whether you've heard this so many times or whether you agree or disagree, whatever, I really don't care. But I need to get this off my chest because if I don't, I'm gonna lose it. But the one thing I want to make clear, adaptations. I do not hate adaptations. In fact, I applaud the fact that movie reviewers, that not reviewers, but directors, the cast, the writers, the screenplay, all this. I respect the fact that they do work so hard to try and get it as close to the story of either a TV show, a cartoon, or anime, or even a book. Harry Potter is a good example. Um, there's Batman, if you think about it. It starts with Adam West, goes to an anime series, then you get the Michael Keaton and the Val Kilmer and George Clooney, then you get Christian Bale. You get these adaptations, and then a whole bunch of other a whole bunch of movie-based cartoons. Um, the Ghostbusters, the movie turn game. Adaptations are not bad. They are not bad. But there are just some some adaptations. I want to stress this. There are just some adaptations that shouldn't be made. You know, the Super Mario Brothers, and I'm talking about the movie, the one with Bob Hoskins and the guy who did the voice of Sid for Ice Age. You all know who he is, and whatever. The guy's great. Okay, and Bob Hoskins, the guy who played the detective in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and also the guy who played as Jet Li's owner in the movie Unleashed. He's a phenomenal actor. And he even did Odin in The Son of the Mask. I almost didn't recognize him until I saw a review based on the Nostalgia Critic, when he did that review. But when I saw this adaptation, I swear, I thought I was going to burst a vein. I couldn't even believe they did this. And if the title doesn't give it away, I'm just going to say it regardless. I'm talking about Dragon Ball Evolution. Oh my god. Why? 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 Why would such an critically acclaimed, the greatest creator of anime and manga, and that's just coming from me here, folks. I mean, you don't have to agree. There might be someone better. I don't know. But, I mean, come on. Akira Toriyama, people. The greatest oh my. I can't even think straight because this adaptation's so bad. I don't know what possessed the man to okay this movie. I really don't. I don't know what possessed him I mean to try and maybe further the Dragon Ball universe maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. But this adaptation was just horrible. It was god awful. I will admit, however, I will admit that you know, the when the movie was first introduced, before it was released into theaters, I will admit that my hopes were high. Thinking, and my thought was, holy crap, they're going to make a live action Dragon Ball movie. Holy crap, I cannot wait to see this. Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, of course, I didn't get to really see it. Haha. But, the thing is that I'm kind of glad I didn't. Because, I've seen some of the scenes that they do. After a while, when you hear about it and you see the screenshots and everything, you then think, why? And you count your blessings that you didn't spend money seeing a movie that was pure shit. My God, this movie, this was like an hour of my life or so I was never going to get back. But let's continue. I've got a list of rants on this thing, and I need to get them out. Now, my original intent for this was to kind of make this like the Nostalgia Critics movie review, where, I'd show bits and pieces here and there about the movie. Well, look, you can look it up yourself. There's the Wikipedia, there's YouTube, and, I mean, come on. So, let's start. I think before I really tear this up more than it already is, I mean, Jesus, the way, and to put it into the words, I don't know if this would fit, and though I don't understand the concept, I think it's probably the same thing I'm thinking it means, but the way the Nostalgia Critic put it, as he did for the Never Ending Story 3, this isn't jumping the shark. Instead, this is jumping the shark, coming back, shooting it in the balls, raping it, eating its flesh, consuming its soul, mounting its head on the wall, and then doing the same thing to 12 more fucking sharks just to be safe. And if you don't believe me, go watch some of the cutscenes. I mean, dear God. And respectively, that joke does go to Doug Walker of the League of Super Critics, as well as his persona, Nostalgia Critic. Okay, all that respectfully goes to him. Here's my thing. What pissed me off within like the first couple of minutes of this movie, it was the story of Piccolo being a galaxy conqueror and his disciple being Uzaru or Ozru, whatever the pronunciation is. I don't care. I'm probably going to go back and forth. But we're talking about the great ape, the giant ape, the ape that is transformed only by one species and one species only, and that, my friends, is the Saiyans. The race that was supposed to be extinct, yet somehow several Saiyans somehow managed to survive. And some of them are acceptable, the rest is just pure bullshit. So, that's the thing that pissed me off about the movie. It was just the intro, the narration about the bullshit. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Why in God's no, not God, but Satan's satanical butthole. Who pulled out the intestinal tract to think that this was okay? Who? Uh, and whether I use this word all right or not, I don't care. But I digress on the point of where I'm going with this because it got so worse for me later on. So, now, another thing I would like to say that there were many moments in this movie where things were talked about, but then things were showed and mentioned, but they were never talked about again afterwards. Now, the nostalgia critic and nostalgia chick have explained this moment as what's known as big-lipped alligator moment. This moment is basically if you ever seen All Dogs Go to Heaven about the big-lipped alligator, had a singing moment with Charlie, comes back one more time to eat the bulldog, and then it's never. And hell, even after the singing segment, the damn thing's never talked about again. It was something introduced that had no purpose to be in the movie. There were so many moments of that. But I know, and right now, like I said, the story pissed me off like the first couple of minutes. But I think what I should do, to be fair, I'm going to give it its good points. Now, Goku. They did a pretty decent job in for an actor. Now, you can't really expect Goku to be looking Asian because one, how do you know if he looks Asian in the film? You know, Team Four Star did an honest trailer of Dragon Ball Evolution, and you know the guy who did the voice of Goku mentioned that. Well, how can you how can you honestly say that Goku looks Asian in the anime when it's just cartoon writing, right? I'm going to be needing this a lot. So, what I want to understand. The thing is, you know, the spiky hair, as ridiculous as it looks, you can't really expect the hair to look like it did in the anime. That would just look cheesy and it looked like someone you were trying too hard. So, you know what? That's something you can let slide. Another good point with this is the Dragon Balls that you get to see. And the first one you see is the 4 star. And if I remember correctly, and as well as all fans out there, the 4 star Dragon Ball was the same Dragon Ball that was used on the top of Gohan's hat. Kid Gohan, Goku's son now. And that's if I guessed correctly. If I'm wrong, okay, but it is what it is. So, you know, the Dragon Balls actually look really good. You know, they were. It was kind of a mix between a baseball or hell a racquetball and a softball. And I mean the kind of softball that's almost a big rock that fits the compass of your hand. And that I imagine if you got hit in the temple with it, you get probably I don't know. So they kind of gave it the size of like a snow globe. And the decent size that's like between a baseball and a softball. It's that medium size that you can still hold in the palm of your hand, almost making a fist. Almost like your fist is this freaking big, but whatever. Now, I don't know. I mean, another one. You know, Bulma briefs. When they first introduced her, you know, a brunette with a streak of blue hair. Now, I really would like to make clear. I am a fan of the series. Am I a hardcore fan? No. Am I a fan to the point of where you respect the series, you respect the fact of how good the storyline is, and the fact that if someone's going to make an adaptation of this shit, then they should at least do it right? Yeah. Now, ball. And hell, here's a better example. If they can make Ramona Flowers the character in Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and I mean the live action film, which was good. That was a funny ass movie. If they can make one character go through a movie with bright blue hair, or green, or pink, or whatever freaking color, why couldn't they do this with her? I understand the girl has long ass hair. Well, why not cut the hair short? Bulma ended up doing that later down the road anyway. Cut the damn hair, woman, and just dye it blue. But whatever. You know, the things they got right with her was that she works for Capsule Corporation, and they got her name down, Bulma Briefs. And the reason why I say that is because the game, the PSP game, Dragon Ball Evolution, I saw a playthrough of this done by one person. And when Bulma came into the picture, her last name was in Briefs. So somebody screwed up somewhere in this crossover, and now it's just bullshit. But I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking about the worst movie adaptation that's probably first or next to The Last Airbender, which was supposed to be based off of Avatar: The Last Airbender. But I mean, Dragon Ball Evolution makes The Last Airbender look more close to its originator than this fucking thing, and it's sad. So the fact that Bulma is part of Capsule Corp, and the fact that she brought a capsule that transforms into one of those like those off-road trikes, which I have to say the animation for that was really awesome. There's not much to complain. Now, Bulma's attitude and wielding guns, yes, I've seen Bulma wield a gun before in the first Dragon Ball series when she shot Goku for taking her panties. And then they go to see Master Roshi, etc., etc. You all know the story. So, but then later on, it's like she doesn't even use weapons anymore. Let alone, I don't recall her ever getting into a fight. The one time I've seen her throw a punch at a normal person was during the World Tournament in the Boo Saga, where she just decked this one lady in the face. So, I mean, there's that. Other than that, I don't know. The next one is Chi Chi. Now, the one of the many things, as a guy and probably many fans, Chi Chi looked hot. Okay, said it. And I mean, you have to realize Chi Chi in the Dragon Ball series, when she was younger, she was a very decent looking young woman before she married Goku. So you have to figure, okay, they did something good. I mean, it's not exactly a science, but I mean, they did something good. I mean, there's still more good, but this movie's just so hard to talk about. The next thing is Yamcha. Now, they got the character for Yamcha down pretty well. I mean, the guy's a bandit, a thief, and they got that down practically to a T in the movie. What was even better, that caught me by surprise, was the fact that his voice, the guy who played Yamcha in the live action movie, his voice, and if you listen to that voice compared to the anime, they actually sound the same. It's like, holy shit. That's probably the most down to earth character they ever got. I mean, the only bad side to it was that where the fuck was the flying cat porn? I think that's his name. I don't know, but it's that morphing cat that always follows him around in the Dragon Ball and a little bit in the Dragon Ball Z series. He followed him around. So what the hell happened? It's like they don't talk about it. Not good things first, bad things later. Moving on. Another thing that they did was Master Roshi, the Turtle Hermit, the originator of the Kamehameha, as well as Electra's Perv. So they got down his look, the Hawaiian shirt and whatnot. They got his lecherous side, and they got his martial arts, as well as him being the master of that one infamous move. And to make it even better, to make it so much better, they used the Kung Fu Monk of Bulletproof Monk, the actor who played that Matrix style monk in there. They used him as Master Roshi. That was just brilliant right there. But they could have done so much better with it. They could have done so much better. And finally, the other good thing about this movie was Shinra, the dragon. The mystical dragon of the Dragon Balls. Was he that overextended, shooting from the connected to the Dragon Balls Chinese dragon? Not really. Instead, they turned him into a golden serpent, almost about the same length as the magical tampon of Never-Ending Story, Falcor. I think that's the name. I don't really care for the movie. No offense, and if you want to hate me for it, go right ahead. I'm just not a fan. But, the dragon looked really decent. Okay, and the dragon didn't talk, but I mean, it was decent. it was decent. I'll give it that. Now, let's go to the bad. And the first on my list, no, actually, we're going from the bottom of the list to the top. And the top three, hell, the top two, actually. The top two on my list, I'm going to rage quit so bad on that, I am probably going to lose my voice. But let's start. 1. Goku's life as they start the movie. What pissed me off was the fact that they had the famous, our hero, go to school. What? I'm sorry, but did somebody think that taking Goku to school, putting him in there, even sitting through a lecture, was a good idea? Who the hell thought that? That was pure bullshit, people. And here's why. Here is why. If you want to know the history of Goku in school, you've got two options. Your first option is to go to the fucking Wikipedia and it'll explain right there that Goku, whether Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, or GT, never went to school! Never. The only time he ever had to do any kind of humanity lesson or a normal lesson was when during the Cell Saga, Chi-Chi forced Goku to go get a driver's license. It was funny as hell, but that was like the only thing. The only thing that he has ever done remotely as trying to look normal, because Chi-Chi did not want to constantly have flying around or what the hell ever. Now, again, he never went to school. The second option you have is you go to a website, screwattack.com. The people who brought you the greatest online show ever, Death Battle. And if anyone's ever seen this, it was the Death Battle, the finale of their first season, Goku versus Superman. Now, I imagine a lot of people were pissed about it, about Goku should have won, blah, 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 blah. Here's the thing. It's fair enough to say that Superman won fair and square. I mean, if Goku, it's in there. Okay? And sure, maybe Goku should have won. Maybe he lost for the correct reasons. I mean, he wasn't intelligent up here. He just knew fighting. And as much as he did try to read his mind, he didn't realize that punching Superman into the sun was a bad idea, thus giving Superman the godlike powers for only a few minutes, and thus yeah. And rightfully so. I mean, it's fair to say that Superman won out fair and square, but Screw Attack gets the credit for the info and the research that they've done. And in that research, when they discuss the pros of both fighters, one of the things that they discussed for Goku is that Goku never went to school because he felt it was unnecessary, because it interfered with his training. So you tell me, folks, if a guy who's training more times than he's studying, why put him in a school in an adaptation only to not have him go back afterwards? That's like bullshit, people. That's a big lip alligator moment. You show the school and then you don't have him go back afterwards. What the hell? I mean, come on, guys. Think. If you're gonna make a story, you're either gonna have to keep it consistent or don't bother showing it. Again, I respect adaptations. I really do. I mean, Aragon was a good adaptation. Final Fantasy VII, Advent Children was a good adaptation. In fact, I say Advent Children Complete was probably a better version than the original. And if you guys, whether you own it or have seen it or don't know anything about it, look it up. Hell, and I'm just glancing at my movies over here, trying to pick up things. Hitman, Doom. Okay, Doom. Doom, the movie, I say has more of a relation to Doom 3 than the first two. Because the first two was based on hellish demons on Mars. Doom 3 was about a spirit making people change into ugly-ass shit to kill you. Which is more accurate to the movie than really anything else. Anyway. So, that's bullshit number one. Or number what the hell ever I'm going to be ranting about. The next thing that's a problem is the characters. And not just the main characters in which you see in the story. I mean characters in general. Even Background characters, people. Background characters. They fucked up with background characters. How the hell do you do that? Like, oh god, my head. Anyone who's seen the series would know that from Dragon Ball to GT, that there were characters. There were furries in the show. Okay? Furries of different variations, and yet you're telling me you couldn't put in just a couple of CGI animated or makeup looking ones in there? I didn't see one. One! Not even one that looked like a kid! And I understand that they're not important, but come on! If you're going to show them in the show every once in a while, showing the death that's about to overcome, why not put them in the damn movie? The other thing is that the sub-characters. Krillin's not even in the movie. Why? That's Goku's best friend. And not to mention, even if you're going to put Goku through school, give him his friend. Give him the balding monk with the 6 dots. Hell, let him have hair for all I give a shit. Put him in the movie. Sadly, they didn't. And, thank God they're not going to make a sequel to this. Ugh. But, Krillin's not there. Why? I mean, he's just as important as anybody else. Hell, you put the weak ass of the group, Yamcha, in there, but you're not going to put in Krillin? Why? The other thing is, like I said before, if I mentioned it before, is Porin, that floating, shape-shifting cat that hangs around with Yamcha. That one isn't there. What the hell happened? Did they just erase him off existence? Like, we don't need you. We don't need no floating pussy. Come on. Hell, even Oolong, the pig. I mean, I can understand if you just had him as a side-scrolling character that was shape-shifting just to impress people. I don't care if you did that, but at least put him in. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense, and I don't understand why. But honestly, it's whatever. The next thing is, a little bit of Chi-Chi. Again, the good point about her I've already said. The other point is that, yes, they show her fighting. And they only show one instance of a tournament. And it doesn't even show whether this is the world tournament or not. It doesn't say anything. It's just there in one scene, then done in the next. It's like, what the hell is this crap? Chi-Chi is supposed to be known as the strongest female fighter on Earth. She is also supposed to be known as the most bipolar and scariest motherfucker in there, next to Launch. I have to at least give that character credit. And the next thing is Master Roshi. Now, again, he had good points. A good actor, had the looks, got his personality down, and the fact that he is still the originator of the Kamehameha. The problem is that he looks nothing like Master Roshi from the show. Now, again, adaptation. I understand. I really do. I understand that adaptations have changes. I understand that one time Master Roshi had hair. But here's the thing. When Goku met Master Roshi in the show as a child, the man was bald, had a mustache that looked like was something from a Western, and a beard, okay? It wasn't long, but come on, people. Not to mention he was missing a few teeth. The man was old. Granted, it would probably ruin the image of the great actor, but I don't know. Maybe you can let this slide, maybe not. But you gotta make it close. If you can't make him bald, give him the long facial hair. Even if it's makeup, come on. Oh, I need that. The other problem. Oh, God. Piccolo. The Namekian. The only Namekian on this movie. Okay? The only one. Now, the last I remember, the Dragon Balls were created by the Namekians. I'm spitballing here. I could be wrong. If I am, be sure to leave a comment. The Namekians created the Dragon Balls. If that's the case, then I'm sorry, this is going to be a spoiler, but Goku supposedly killed Piccolo. If that's the case, doesn't that mean the Dragon Balls don't work? Am I the only one that feels like I'm going to get a brain tumor out of my temple realizing this? Or does everyone else share this thing? I don't know. I really don't know, and it's really pissing me off. But Piccolo, my God. You know, the one thing I don't think I can really complain about, let alone anybody can complain about, is the hue of the skin. It's light. It's lighter than the color it is in the show. But you also have to figure in games, game cutscenes, the shows, you have to figure the hue of that skin has changed so much until they finally stayed on like the Ninja Turtle green, the dark kind of green, and they just stuck with that color. And it's like, well, finally. And now this one you got like piss yellow, yellowish snow. I don't know. Here's my problem with Piccolo. One, his outfit. What is this shit? I mean, I don't recall him wearing a battle suit, or whatever the hell you look at this. I don't recall him ever wearing that, whether in Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z. I mean, in the first series, he was known as King Piccolo. Then later on, Yoshi'd an egg, and now you have the new Piccolo, who still wears the purple turban, the sash, the purple pants, and the slip-on clawed shoes, or whatever the hell they are. Regardless of the fact, is that he looks nothing like Piccolo on the show, even attire-wise. The other thing about it is, where the fuck are the antennas? And don't sell me the bullshit that those little streaks going up his fucking forehead are the antennas. No. No, 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 no. I understand that these are slug people, but if that's the case, when should they come out? I mean, hell, if you poked a snail in the eye, it would go in and then come back out. Last I checked. But now, all of a sudden, it's like you get two streak wounds across your head. All of a sudden, the creator's like, "Hey, that works! Fuck you! That doesn't work! Doesn't work at all! So why?" I don't get it, folks. I really don't. And I wish I understood. I really did. But The next thing on characters is what the hell are these other creatures that Piccolo created? They look like something out of a rejected Play-Doh factory, okay? They're like mutagenic sperm that were given the Namekian blood, and then all of a sudden, like, it's like something out of the fucking House of Wax museum. And I mean the horror movie. I know it doesn't say museum, but it's like House of Wax. It's stupid. And if you're gonna pass those off as a type of Namekian, I'm sorry, but you've got to be the most stupidest person ever to pass that kind of shit off. They look like rejected characters off of like cheesy ass kung fu movies. Come on, people! If you're gonna make some kind of clones or whatever, make it look decent, not this shit. Come on. And 40 minutes in to this, and most of this is just the fact that I'm getting a headache off of this. And I think the final complaint on characters is Piccolo's female assistant. Who the fuck is the bitch in the red? Who? I don't recall anybody saying her name. I don't recall Piccolo saying it, or Chi-Chi, or even the bitch herself saying it. She just popped out of nowhere, helping him collect the Dragon Balls, get into a fight with Chi-Chi and Goku and the friends. It's like, what the fuck is this shit? Who the hell are you? What the fuck are you doing here? Get the hell out! We don't need you. If you're not important to the plot point, if you're not important at all to where we're never going to see you again, who the hell? Who is this? Why is she here? I don't get it. Why would you include a character you don't fucking know and expect us to have like, oh, that person looks evil, we don't like her? How can you not like her if you don't know anything about a backstory or who the hell she is? You can't say, man, I really hate that bitch. What are you talking about? The woman in red in Dragon Ball Evolution. What was her name? I don't know. Then why do you hate her? It's like, what the hell? Don't put in characters that have no significance to this, okay? Don't. I mean, it's mind-numbingly painful. And I'm surprised I made it through the movie. There were so many times I wanted to throw something at the TV. Why? And just to answer any other kind of questions, why I even bothered to watch this movie, I'm going to say that I made a promise to my cousin that I would watch this movie, but I did warn him that I was going to criticize the ever mother lover out of it. And I did. Oh, he hated the fact that I was talking through it. Well, you know what? I told you, I warned you, this is what you get. So, now, I mean, I can't say that there's much else to really argue about. I mean, one of the things I can argue about is the key blasts, as most people like to call it, or what the hell ever. Now, I can't say that they should look like they did in the anime, some orb from a lightning bug's ass personified into a giant cartoonish beam shooting out of your hand and what the hell ever. Okay, I can't expect that. I honestly can. I can admit that. So I will say that the Key Blasts were actually a decent look for the movie. To be a type of aura being shot out of you in a weapon-like form. Kind of like The Last Airbender, but I digress on that to the point of where I never even seen the movie. I've just seen the Nostalgia Critic review, and that was funny as hell. No, but there is a problem with the key blast thing, and that's gonna the whole key thing, and that's actually gonna be my top one rant on this whole thing. But I think before we get to the top two most raging things about this movie, I want to make clear about how this movie is. First off, it's horrible, completely god awful. If you seen the show, you respect the show, you respect the games, all that, and you've never seen the movie, don't watch it. Save yourself the trouble. Don't watch it. Watch some cutscenes. You'll see for yourself how bad it is. But don't watch it. The only saving grace of this movie was the dialogue. Now, if you can say that the movie was only decent and can say that the dialogue was probably the best thing about the movie, that just shows how bad it is. And that's just awful. And the biggest, saddest thing about this is that I've seen video clips of conventions about this movie, and and this convention and this topic was discussed by the voice actors, the American voice actors of the Dragon Ball anime, and the guy who voiced as Krillin, who was also the executive producer of the Dragon Ball anime, as I believe. As far as I know, the guy voiced as Krillin, and he was executive producer of something. Maybe the movie, maybe the show. I'm going to say the show. But he was asked a question about the movie. He said it sucked. And when you get the characters, the very voice actors who pour their heart and soul and their their greatest acting into something that has pleased the world of its show worldwide, and they tell you that this movie sucks harder than a whore in a wind tunnel, that's bad. That is very bad. That's like that. There's no comparison. It's just god awful. But with that, with the movie, if you were to take out the good dialogue and just be left with the movie, its story and cut and the fight scenes, which sadly there wasn't that many, it's not even worth watching. It's not even worth it. But with that said, these are my top two. My top two complaints on this movie. And we're going to start with number two, of course. And this goes with what I said about the story of Ozaru, the great ape, the Saiyan. The Saiyan definition of what defines them, what separates them from the entire race. As 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 the story goes, Goku and Ozaru are the same, one and the same. Okay, fine. So they got that down. Now, as the movie went on and every Dragon Ball he touched and collected, he kept seeing an image of this monkey. Supposed monkey. It looked like a rejected werewolf that had never made it to Underworld. Now, how to put this? The fact that they even included the great ape, I find is very bold. But here's the worst part. The one thing I have to say about the Ozuru, especially when Goku was transforming, was that it happened during an eclipse where the eclipse turned green and suddenly he changed. What? Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the point of changing to Ozuru, wasn't the point of this that you need the fucking Saiyan tail to change? And not only that, you needed a full moon? Granted, I can probably say the eclipse was supposed to be the definition of a full moon. Well, it's still bullshit! I mean, seriously? You can't... There's not enough turd polish in this fucking planet to make this crap look any better. And you would need a lot of the turd polish for my top one rant. The transformation was pathetic. It was absolutely pathetic. The fact that he had no tail, that it wasn't a full moon, it wasn't even a giant beam of light in the fucking sky like Vegeta did, or what was it, Tarble, the guy that looked like Goku but was in the Tree of Might, that fucktard. I mean, there wasn't the glowing North Star looking moonlight to change him. And yet this happens? What cockamamie bullshit shit is this spewing out? I mean, I don't even think dung beetles or flies would come near this shit. It's so bad. They fly near it. They just die from being near the shit. And what made it worse was the fact of during the transformation, all he did was grow a few feet taller. Great, so now we just have an ape. So all you did was create a mutant Sasquatch. That's all you fucking did. You made a Sasquatch that looks like the reject werewolf of an Underworld movie, and suddenly you pass that off as a great ape. King Kong is a great ape. Even the black and white King Kong is a better great ape than this cock shit. Are you fucking kidding me? This retarded version of Sasquatch's cousin is gonna be the great ape for Dragon Ball Evolution? Are you fucking kidding me? This is bullshit. It really is, and it's funny. It's funny how they think they can just pass this off, you know? Oh, and by sheer willpower, Goku manages to change back. Now, here's the inconsistent part. This is like a minor part in this movie that completely pissed me off. And that part was the fact that, okay, first off, Goku was wearing the traditional crane-style outfit, okay? That whole orange vest deal. The only difference was that he was wearing blue pants. Why? That's not the costume ensemble that he wore in the anime series. Why the fuck are you changing it? Now, when before he transformed, the whole thing was tucked in, whatever, right? When he changes, it's all undone. The sides of his flapping about, so all it is, it looks like a sleeveless unbuttoned shirt that's just hanging off the sides of the fucking monkey, right? Or it's a supposed monkey, whatever the hell you want to call him. Now, and sorry for adjusting the camera here. Half the time I want, whatever. But when he changes back, all of a sudden, some movie magic bullshit just suddenly makes the robes tuck in on each other again. What? Tuck in, off, tuck back in again. Are these clothes magic? So if you were to tell me that if I were to wear these clothes and just ripped it all off and whatever, and all of a sudden by themselves they're gonna tuck themselves back into my pants, that's fucking weird. I know that's a stupid analogy or some visionary crap or whatever, but I mean, come on. For a shirt robe to open and then somehow magically close on itself to change back to human, that's just bullshit. Okay? That's just pure bullshit. But nothing, and the one thing I looked forward to this movie, which is my number one rant. The absolute only thing I looked forward to was seeing the version of the Kamehameha. Now, I sat through the whole whatever time of this movie was that I'm never going to get back. And I finally see him go to do it. And, as much as he kind of failed at doing the pronunciation of it, it was like Kame, Hame, and then ended it with a ha. It's like, I can understand Krillin saying it. I can understand Yamcha saying it that way. Hell, even Goten in the cartoon said Kame Kameha. I don't know why, but probably that's just because he couldn't pronounce it properly. And that's fine and dandy, but this is just stupid. So, after sitting through shit, this crap hole of a movie that spewed out of Satan's anus, I now come to see the greatest technique of all time. Only to be spat in the face, shot in the balls, kicked, beaten with sticks, thrown to piranhas, pulled out halfway through, and then thrown into the infernal fiery pits of the Cerberus's 9 balls while roasted over an open fire. Basically, I just got the biggest bitch slap of all time seeing this. And before I tell you, I want to explain the variations of this great technique, this powerful technique. There are many variations, and as was explained in the show, and hell, actually it was more explained in the movie, that it's how much you put into the technique, the Kamehameha. It's how much you put into it depends on how strong it's going to be. So, okay, I can understand that. I mean, look at the variations that were given through the show. You have traditional, the Kamehameha, and that was used in so many different ways. It was used as a type of boost to launch yourself quickly away from enemy fire. It was used in the Frieza saga under the water and shot upwards. You know, the regular versions, right? So okay, fine. That doesn't bother me one bit. Now, the move evolved over time and in different ways. And we're gonna, before we get into the series of how it began or how it evolved, I want to say that there have been combinations. For example, there was the father-son Kamehameha during the Cell Saga, and that was when Goku was lending his energy to Gohan in Super Saiyan 2 in order to help defeat Cell. Okay, fine, that's totally cool. In, I guess, a certain movie or another part of the show or something, in a filler, I think it was probably with Broly. It was something. I don't know. I've seen a photo of adolescent Gohan, Kid Goten, not Kid Goten. I mean, Jesus, it's not like Kid Trunks, and Goku, all doing the Kamehameha at the same time. So it's a family Kamehameha. Okay, fine. I don't freaking care. There's brotherly ones. Hell, if you were to play Raging Blast 2, you can do the brotherly Kamehameha. Okay, fine. Whatever. That's totally cool. I don't care. But here's the evolution. You have the regular. Then you have the first ever. And then, well, actually, then you had the Kaioken Kamehameha. And there were two variations of that. There was the Kaioken times 4 version against Vegeta. Then there was the Kaioken times 20 version. Now, I don't know where that was. I may have missed it. But it was done. It was done. And still wasn't even the strongest. The Kamehameha then upgraded. It evolved when the Super Saiyan 2 Teen Gohan used it. And he was the first to do this. He was the first to use the Super Kamehameha. And that's fine. That makes it more badass. And I mean, Cell even had his own version, and his was called the Solar Kamehameha, and that was supposed to be the kind that could destroy the world. And that was supposed to be like the truer form. That was supposed to be everything put into it. Now, why it was called that, I have no idea, because that wasn't really the true form. The Solar Kamehameha was just like raw power done by Cell, who had the cells of a bunch of other fighters. So you really can't say that this is the most powerful. Now we go to the Buu Saga, to Super Saiyan 3 Goku. And Raging Blast 2, and most likely the anime, he said, get ready for the real deal. And this was considered and called, in the game, true Kamehameha. Now, think about it. True Kamehameha. That means that this was the pure one. This was the one in the truest state possible. This means that this was the kind that was going to probably destroy the Earth just as much as any of the other kind of versions would. And, no one has a problem with that. Now we get to now let's jump to GT, Super Saiyan 4. Now we have the rawest power of it from a Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Now the Kamehameha is red. This thing is beyond phenomenal, right? It's supposed to be the most powerful attack, and it was. This is a rage and energy release outward. in full force, no holding back. And that's technically what the Super Saiyan 4 was supposed to be all about. This is just him going out of control a little bit. Still in control, but going nuts. If that makes sense to anybody. So, and now the fusion versions. And I'm going to have to start with this one, Vegito, because there were two versions for Gogeta. Now, for Vegito, they created their own. They created Vegeta's Final Flash with Goku's Kamehameha and called it the Final Kamehameha. So this is not to confuse that this is a final form or a final stage. This is, of course, a combination, because it's fusion of the two most powerful fighters in existence. The next one was the fusion dance, which gave Gogeta. And this version was called Big Bang Kamehameha. And here are two versions. The one is blue, Super Saiyan 4 is red. Now, that's pretty self-explanatory. But it kicked ass. And it was pretty good when all he's doing is this. He's not doing the form, he's just shooting it like this. As if he's doing Tien's Tri-Beam. He's just going like this. However freaking he shapes his hands. It's badass as hell. So, I was disappointed. I was disappointed with what they did. Now, here's the movie version. And there's three things they did with this version. First, the Kamehameha was used as practice because Goku wasn't ready for it, or he had to learn to control his ki. Fine. So he had to use it to light candles. What the hell ever. The second usage of this was used as a defibrillator. What? Seriously, folks, Master Roshi used this shit to resuscitate Goku as he's passed out on the fucking floor, and you're supposed to tell me that this technique can jumpstart him? Are you fucking kidding me? Really? I'm sorry, but no. If you were to tell me that this was just regular ki being used to jumpstart him, fine. But no, that's not the case. Instead, the case was, you heard, even if you have to clean the wax out of your ears and stick a horn in there, you heard him say Kamehameha. Okay? You heard him say it. It's bullshit, people. It's hormone, testicle, bull raging bullshit. But the worst. This was the worst. And this is how they portrayed the Kamehameha. Piccolo's about ready to destroy the planet. He's got this big red ass orb hanging over his head, or what the hell he was using. So he's copying fucking Frieza and Boo doing this shit. And he's getting all ready. He's saying the words, Kame, Hame. That's literally how he did it. And then, finally, Piccolo threw it. He goes to do this. I was going to be excited to see this kind of version, only to be bitch slapped. To see the Kamehameha, a dash. Here's how it was. Piccolo's here, Goku's here. What the fuck happens? As soon as he extends his fucking arms, he's suddenly dashing with it as his arms and a beam is being shot out. Are you shitting me? Really? I sat through this bullshit bullshit to see the greatest technique to be seen in live action only to be giving a dashing technique of something that shouldn't be dashed with? Really? They build up the hype of the big freaking glow and only to have, woo! What the fucking shit is this? Oh. This was bullshit. I wasted an hour or so of my life watching a movie that had nothing to offer except dialogue. I was more intrigued with the dialogue than I was with the freaking movie. And if you had to question yourself, certain movies you watch, if you had to question yourself of what was the most memorable things, and I mean things, multiple things that you can remember in certain movies, and if any one of them is based on action scenes, stunts, or fighting, but yet you can still have a whole bunch of dialogue. But if you can still think of one action scene, anything like that, then you know that was a decent movie. Because they at least gave you something. Now, unless you've watched The Godfather, and yeah, sure, maybe the whole thing is you understand the whole talking. I honestly never sat through it. I never even watched it. But I mean, Family Guy discussed it. Yeah, you can go off of that. But I mean, if the only thing you can remember in a movie, even an adaptation, is just the dialogue, you failed. You fucked it up! This is Dragon Ball! And not only that, this was a combination of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. Because when Goku first faced Piccolo, he was a kid as far as I can remember. He was still a kid when he first faced him. And now suddenly, but now Goku's a teenager facing off against Piccolo. Yes, he did do that towards the end of the Dragon Ball series before it became Dragon Ball Z. Yes, I understand. I really do. But it's still a combination, more or less, if you think about it. Because you have to really think about it, and it hurts to think about it. But come on! You cannot build the hype of a great technique just to make it look like shit. And again, even as he was dashing with this technique, you still saw the stream about maybe, an arm's length? Maybe like that wide? I don't know how the hell the camera's picturing this, but if you were to outstretch your arm from the tip of one hand outstretched to the other all the way across, that's pretty much how long it was, and it was bullshit. I cannot recall any time in an anime or game where the character dashed with the attack, especially for this one. This movie was not worth my time, and I regret it. And I am never seeing it again. Ever. I'm not even going to watch The Last Airbender because, one, if you think about it, when you watch the reviews and see the spoilers about it, even with the Nostalgia Critic or whoever, they pretty much tell you the story. But this was just mind-numbing. There's not enough aspirin in the world to do this. You would need freaking morphine, Novocaine. You need to put in a drug-induced, pot-smoking, high-ass coma just to be able to sit through this movie. And I want to make this real fucking clear. If you are to tell me that you disconnected yourself to be able to try and enjoy and watch this movie, you're an absolute fucking retard. Okay? There is no way that if you're a fan of the series, and this is only to those who are fans of the series and say they try and not compare it, you're full of shit. Okay? And I do apologize, but you're full of shit. You cannot disconnect. If you're a fan of the show and you'll watch the adaptation, you cannot watch it without making one comparison. You can't. You cannot sit through one adaptation movie and tell me that there's nothing wrong. And there's plenty. Okay, there's the the live action Super Mario Brothers. There's there's the, there's the, Dante's Inferno. Okay, that was the Divine Comedy turned game turned movie. Okay. You've got Resident Evil. Resident Evil, the movie, the live-action movie, was based on somebody who was not even in the fucking games. But yet they had the decency to give us the characters. From some of the series. The movies, sorry. They gave us the characters in some of the movies that were from the games. Claire and Chris Redfield. Leon. Barry fucking Burton, the man who carried a fucking Smith and Wesson revolver, or whatever the fuck the name is. He carries a fucking Magnum, people. And even Albert Wesker. Hell, they went through 2 different Weskers in this movie. No, it wasn't Extinction. Fuck. No, it was Afterlife. Afterlife, they gave you a brunette-looking Wesker. And then in Retribution, they gave you the blonde-haired one. And even in Retribution, they gave you Adolf motherfucking Wong as Krauser from Resident Evil 4 put it. The bitch in the red dress. I think that's probably going to be the most infamous thing that people remember on that. If you've ever played Resident Evil 4, which was a PlayStation 2 and a Wii game. She was considered the bitch in the red dress. And it's kind of true, if you think about it. Hell, here's another adaptation. They took the movie Ghostbusters and turned it into a video game. And not only did they turn it into a video game, they brought the voice actors, the original voice actors, to voice in that game. Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, they had the original voice actors, the original actors, voicing in this game. That is effort, people. And this game is supposed to be the continuation from after 2. It's supposed to be the events after Ghostbusters 2. The fact that you freaking do that shows the effort. Hey, here's another one. Transformers. The classic cartoon that had so many had so many remakes and adaptations. Some of them were good, some of them were bad. Beast Wars, I will say, was really decent. But when it came to the live action movie, you want to know the greatest effort Michael Bay did with that? He got the original voice actor, the voice actor who did the classic cartoon series, and brought him to this movie. and had him voice as Optimus Prime. If you buy the DVD and look at the extras, it will show you, it will tell you, and show you the voice actor himself who voiced Optimus Prime. Okay? That's effort. Okay? And hell, even with the Dragon Ball games in all its varieties, they still use the voice actors to continue to help make these games great. What more can you really ask for? Honestly. And even the games, the PS3 games of Transformers, War and Fall of Cybertron, they still used the voice actor for Optimus Prime in this game. And that's great. And even the voice actors for Naruto in the games, Naruto Ninja Storm, from the first one to Ultimate Ninja Storm 3, including Full Burst. Honestly, Full Burst 3 and 3, the only difference is just the fucking characters. But besides the point, they use the damn voices. They use the same characters. All that. I mean, hell, here's another good one. The Joker. Okay, Mark Hamill has been our Joker for quite some time in both animated and game. The man has a lot of credit. Luke Skywalker of Star Wars is our maniacal Joker. Okay, now granted, most animated movies that have the Joker in it aren't all done by Mark Hamill. The one of Under the Red Hood is not done by Mark Hamill. The cartoon The Batman was not done by Mark Hamill with that ape-looking hobo Joker. But Joker, Mark Hamill used his voice, gave us the Joker we know and love in some certain way, up to Arkham Asylum. Now we get Arkham Origins, and we get a new voice actor, Troy Baker, I believe. The guy did good. I was surprised when I heard him play the Joker. I thought Mark Hamill just fucked with everybody and when he said he wasn't going to do it again. When I heard the Joker in Batman Arkham Origins, I thought Mark Hamill came back. Well, I turned out to be wrong. But, I mean, there are so many adaptations. And all of them respectable. But if you're going to do an adaptation, do it right. I mean, there's so many. Looking at my movie case right now, there are so many. Hell, some of the voices from like Devil May Cry, the animated series, come from the game, more or less. Hell, a remake of Conan the Barbarian. That's one. And here's even a better one. To all you Dot Hack fans out there, here's the greatest adaptation from game to movie. And that was Dot Hack GU Trilogy. That was the greatest adaptation because it encompassed 3 of the games, volumes 1, 2, and 3. Rebirth, Reminisce, and Redemption. Okay? But you can't say that although this is based on the 3 games, it doesn't follow it all the way through. It follows them barely all the way through. And they gave us something new in there. I mean, when Haseo first got his Extra form, he was at ground zero when Ovan did his thing to save Ina. Here in the movie, Aseo went beast form, and holy shit, that was awesome. It's you look at that in the movie and you wonder why the fuck did they put that in the game? That would have been awesome. Dual wielding broadswords, having a sea of swords come out that would have been you know what I mean? You know, that was an adaptation. It was an adaptation to the games. It literally was. And now I actually have novels based on the games, and those are adaptations because they changed a lot of shit around in that. One of the things they changed around was they made Kun, the epitaph user for the propagation Magus, they made him a Lord Partisan in the book. Now, granted, I was a little pissed at that, and they showed so much more, so much different detail and story in these novels. Yes, novels, games, movies, they're all going to be different. I understand, but you know, it just comes to the point where you try and wonder what makes an adaptation good. You know, some of the times the adaptation's good when it can, you know, as the nostalgia critic said, when he did The Last Airbender, he respects adaptations, but it has to make sense. Dot Hack GU Trilogy made sense because, you know, it still followed the games, it still followed the story, it gave us something different, but in the long run, it still followed it. Uh, you know, War and Fall of Cybertron. Some say that this was a prequel. If you think about it, these were the prequel versions for like the animated series. You know, they took the animated series, they showed what the hell happened, and they just put it into a game. Honestly, I can believe that. I mean, who knows? Maybe the Dinobots existed on Cybertron before they existed on Earth. If you think about it. I mean, especially when they had that big crash into the mountain millions of years ago, you don't know. You don't know if something fucked with their circuits and made them forget, and so they built new ones. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the part of being open-minded about it. I mean, hell, the Tron Evolution game is supposed to be the prequel to Tron Legacy, the movie, the new Tron. If anyone's seen that, that is actually a really good movie. I mean, I've never seen the old one, but this new one is actually really good. I mean, here, look at Castlevania, Lords of Shadow. You know, it's literally Castlevania Lords of Shadow is supposed to be the backstory to Dracula. And look how many fucking vampire Dracula movies we had. The worst one was Dracula 2000. My God, that was a worst independent movie I have seen. It was just bad, folks. It was bad. And here's another thing to think about. There are so many games that even reference movies. Shadows of the Damned. Every scene, every stage, the stage name was referenced after a movie. Example, As Evil as Dead was in one stage is referenced to Evil Dead. If I mean that's kind of a given if you think about it. Then Splatterhouse. Splatterhouse, if you looked around and looked hard enough, you would actually see some characters from some horror movies. Example, if you went to this one children's room in the mansion, you saw a doll's leg sticking out from under the bed with a knife right next to it. There was Chucky. There was a furnace with a hat and scarf or something, and that was supposed to be Freddy Krueger. There were so many horror movie references. I mean, can you consider that an adaptation? And does it really hone in on the point? No. But I'm trying to show that refer. Honestly, there's no point to really what I just said. So, to get back onto the point, you know, movie references, all this crap. It's supposed to make sense. If you're gonna make an adaptation, it needs to make sense. It needs to grab. And even if it doesn't make sense, at least give the characters the decency to have what they should look like. Dragon Ball Evolution, you can't complain too much because if you think about it, you can't make all the characters look like they did in the anime. You can't. Instead, you have to get close enough. But the personality of the characters is what's important. The appearances of some that you can pull off is important. You gotta make it close. And some things you just don't fuck with. The Kamehameha and Ozuru is one of them. And the thing is, at the end of the movie, apparently, I'm just gonna mention this now. It's a spoiler. Master Roshi gets killed by the Ozuru, which after seeing that, Goku finally gains control back of himself, and they wished on the dragon to bring him back. And the one joke that I remember from this, and again, it's what's sad that makes the movie horrible, is that Master Roshi was saying how he was in a wondrous place. He was happy, and then Goku's grandfather came and kicked him out, saying that his job on Earth wasn't done yet. That was actually funny. So were some of the perverted parts of Roshi between Roshi and Bulma. So, but the thing was, there was so much they could have done better. And even after the movie, Goku doesn't even go back to school anymore. So it's like, well, why the fuck did you have him in the school in the first place if you're not going to have him go back? It's the consistency. You weren't consistent. He shouldn't have been in school in the first place. I imagine I probably just bored the crap out of you people from this rant. And if you sat through this, through the whole thing, and hopefully I didn't bleed anybody's ears, then respectfully, thank you for even staying long enough to listen, and even have me go off on so many other things. It's just when you make when a movie adaptation comes up, any kind, again, it needs to make sense. It needs to at least be close. And if there's anything that you have to keep this, and there's just some things you can't screw with. Ozuru needs to transform with the tail. The Kamehameha is not a dashing thing. It's something you stand on two legs and blast it and be lucky you're not blasted off your feet towards Idaho. Okay? And if you're in Idaho, you just hope you're not blasted into the ocean. You just don't screw with it. Okay? You don't. So, with that, I would personally like to thank you all for listening to this rant. And to mention listening to this review. More or less, this was just pointing out the flaws. And that's understandable. But understand that even if you were to go onto Cinema Sins, the channel on YouTube, no movie is without sin. And that's true. There are some movies where if you really look at them, there's something completely wrong. Where one thing's happening in this thing, and all of a sudden it's happening something different in the next little clip of the scene. And it's just like how I mentioned about the Goku's robes coming on and off. It's like they're on first, off in the transformation, and they come back on when he changes back. It's like, where's the what the hell happens here, people? So, again, I thank you. I thank you for listening. I thank you for watching this video, and I hope that you guys will continue to uh, watch some of these videos, even watch some gaming videos. I would like to say though that it may be a while before I can get back into that. I'm still in the process of wondering what I should do next. I don't know whether to do Assassin's Creed. I don't know whether I should do Uncharted. I mean, I got a list of so many games that I could do. I just don't know which. So I'll find out at some point. But for the most part, I will also be doing some gaming reviews. So, with that, I thank you once again. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for listening. And be sure to stay tuned for another video where I discuss with you the 2014 release of RoboCop, which you know what? I won't say. The only thing I'll tell you was that the movie was a good remake. So with that, I'd like to. So for the final time, thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a great night.